Welcome back to another episode of Projecting Grandeur. I'm your host, Ron Dichter. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here today. I am abnormally motivated today. And with what's going on in my work life at Six Pack, you'd think that I wouldn't be motivated. You'd think I'd actually be a little bit down. Let me tell you what's going on, and let me tell you how I'm handling it and why I'm super motivated today. I made the very hard decision last night that I'm going to have to re-platform my business. So the business is a software company, and over the last 18 months, we've been building on a platform. We've brought on several hundred clients, and things are going well. However, as we started to work on our long-term roadmap, we realized there were some gaps in the platform that we chose that are not going to allow us to be able to grow into where we hope to. Really ties back into Projecting Grandeur. And in order for us to be able to do that, my head developer and I talked about it and decided that we're going to have to change architecture to get where we want to go. And it's really hard to make a decision, especially in the startup business that we just started taking on clients earlier this year. And while things are going pretty well, it's a pretty big task to re-platform a software business. And certainly at the stage that we're at, most companies wouldn't be doing it, right? They'd be focused on continuing to go to market and bringing on new clients. However, we have a really clear roadmap and spent a ton of time figuring out where the business is going to go, and made the decision that if we don't do this now, we're going to have to do it at some point. And it's a lot easier to do it with a few hundred clients than it is to do with a few thousand clients. So today, we have a sprint planning meeting, and we're going to talk about, kind of how to break down the sprints into stages so that we can iteratively release it and figure out a migration path. But again, this is going to detract from new sales. It's going to detract from ultimately bringing on new clients, and it's going to slow some of our growth. So why am I excited? I mean, if you think about it, I'm spending more money at a time when we're already not making money, and in a time where all I need to be focused on is growth, and now this is going to actually hamper our growth. So why am I excited? Well, the reason that I'm so excited is that if I look back to my immature business self from even 5 years ago, certainly 10 years ago, and definitely from 20 years ago, I would have not made this decision. And candidly, I wouldn't have had the ability to make this kind of decision. But I've been very fortunate and lucky and made some good decisions and met some good people along the way that have helped me build really amazing businesses that have offered me the ability to, suppress growth for the betterment of the long-term vision. And I think that as I start to build out this business, seeing that long-term vision and having that plan and being able to make really long-term strategic decisions and then implement really tactical maneuvers to get there is something that I feel like I have the knowledge and wisdom now that I just wouldn't have had back then. And so I'm really kind of pinching myself in that I made a mature business decision, thinking about things for the long haul and having the kind of the vision to be able to put that in place. So that's thing one. But where I'm really excited, so over the last, let's call it 20 years of my career, I have built businesses that I've ultimately sold to strategics or private equity and lost kind of the decision-making ability on the long term of the business. Everything was now driven about like how do we get this 3 to 5 year time frame to where we can ultimately sell the business again. And this time around, I'm not building it to sell. And I'm building it to grow and building it to build something big. And I haven't had that luxury in a really long time where I can make a decision on my own without having input from partners or a board that this is where I see the business going long term. I can make a long-term strategic move and decision to build something and actually have the resources to be able to make that happen. I am just so elated in the fact that I have that ability. And I know that maybe this doesn't resonate with some of you that are in startup mode and all that matters is making sales. So I get it. But I do want to point out one really important thing that I think will be relevant to everybody who's listening in today. And that is that if you can take a moment and pull yourself up to 10,000 or even 30,000 foot view of your business, or even of your idea that you haven't even started yet, and really try to see what the future can look like in this business 5 years, 10 years, 20 years out, and start making hard decisions today that are going to make everything easier later, then that is what I encourage you to do. Because there have been so many times where I've made, in the moment, surface level decisions for a business that set a trajectory that may have had a win in that short term moment, but created a real pain point later on down the road. And so no matter if you're just starting out, if you're already in your business, or you're thinking about a business, or you're a seasoned professional, being able to, get off street level view, start to see things from a higher vantage point, a more strategic vantage point of where you're trying to get to, it'll allow you to make decisions in the moment that support that long-term initiative. And don't get me wrong, there may be times where you have to make decisions that might actually hurt the long term because you don't have the resources or the team or bandwidth or whatever it is to hit that. But ultimately, if you have that view, at least you do that eyes wide open, right? You know exactly what you're trying to do. You know exactly, what you're hoping to accomplish, and you can make those long-term strategic decisions. So as I kind of go back to the reason I'm so excited today, I'm actually making decisions now for the future of the business 10, 20 years from now, and we make long-term decisions that allow me to build something that ultimately makes a more streamlined business later. And that is very exciting to me. That gave me some clarity. It gave me a remotivation in just what I'm doing. And again, it took me taking myself out of the moment, starting to look at that long-term vision, that long-term strategic goal, and really being able to apply what I'm doing right now to make sure I'm making decisions that support that initiative. So again, if you're just starting out, if you have an idea, if you haven't even started, or you're knee deep into it, take yourself out of street level, pull yourself up to 1,000, 10,000, 30,000 foot views, really try to get a view of what the business can look like long term. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just think about it from the concept of travel. When you get on an airplane and you fly into these different cities that you might be flying into, the city looks a lot different from the air. You can see things more clearly. You can see, where exactly, roads lead to, where waterways lead to, and you can't see that when you're standing on the river. You can't see that when you're driving on the road, and being able to pull yourself up to that higher vantage point allows you to see things in a more clear light. So the takeaway from today, very simply, embrace what you're dealing with today, but as you make decisions, try to look at things from the lens of a higher perspective so that you can make long-term decisions in the moment to help support your ultimate initiatives and long-term goals. So I hope you find this helpful. Hope that you can apply some of this into your business or just starting out into business. And again, really appreciate all of the feedback, really appreciate the support, the people that have shared it. Also, I've had some great DMs in the last couple of weeks about topics that people would like me to cover. If I haven't responded to you, it's not that it's not a great topic, it just might not be something that I have a ton of familiarity with. And so I either need to learn it and apply it and then teach it, but I can't teach it if I don't know it. So I will keep on listening, so please keep sending me those comments and those suggestions for topics, and I'll keep coming to you live every day, 5 days a week, for as long as my ability to do it, which I don't see any finish to that anytime soon. So thanks for tuning in. Have a good